The city of San Jose, California may start arresting homeless people who refuse shelter. That's fun. That's fun. All right, so as you can see from our ground news agitator here, this story is getting picked up primarily by the left. You've got a little bit of center distribution, but no right news sources are reporting on this at all. So definitely one of those blind spot areas where people could be taking a little bit more look. So we have a factuality rating of 67% high or above, with 67% on the left. Like I said, it's usually with ground news, if a left-leaning source is reporting on it, ground news is going to say that they're more factual. I haven't really looked into it that much, but I mean, I have heard that ground news itself comes from a pretty left place. But I digress. So we are going to go down to the Independent here. Leans left, high factuality. This is the name of the author of the article. So, and it's reposted by the Independent US because it was posted originally by the Independent UK. So, California City may start arresting homeless people who refuse offers of shelter. Approximately 187,000 people are sleeping on the streets statewide in California. Okay. All of California, 187,000. Okay. All right. A California city is considering arresting unhoused people who refuse their offer of shelter. San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan made the admission last month. Just 48 miles south of San Francisco, one of the worst homeless places in the entire country. It's funny. I wanted to say before I got too far into this article, the Bell riots have been postponed until 2026. So, or maybe 2025, who knows? But this is San Jose, a suburb of San Francisco, threatening to round up and arrest the homeless people. This doesn't sound like the Bell riots from Star Trek Deep Space Nine at all, which supposedly took place in 2024. So we're late, we're late. But anyway, sorry, I digress. Just 48 miles south of San Francisco, where officials are struggling with how to solve homelessness, Mahan is aiming to fit the proposal into a pending budget plan that would allocate funding for shelters and temporary housing. If enacted, unhoused residents would first be issued a citation or warning. They'd only be subject to arrest if they decline the shelter 3 times. So what you're going to do is you're going to have people who, it'll be like a 3-strike you're outlaw for homeless people. That stop outlawing homelessness. That is not going to solve the issue, okay? And just making shelters doesn't solve the issue either. Like, there is so much more going on, but we need to get through this article first, and then I'll kind of give my thoughts about it maybe. The city the city of nearly a million operates tiny homes, converted motels, and parking lots as part of its 1,000 shelter spaces. Constructing temporary housing has been a hallmark of the mayor's agenda. Okay, that's great. But again, housing is not the only issue here. Housing is not going to solve homelessness. City staff have faced challenges when trying to encourage unhoused people to take beds in a new 204-unit interim housing site that opened in February. People currently living outside near a housing site can accept spots before the building opens. Well, this is not how homeless people work, man. I lived in Portland. I've been homeless. I know that this is not the solution, and making it illegal for somebody, issuing them a citation and threatening them with arrest is just going to make things worse, man. If someone is refusing a brand new apartment with an in-suite bathroom and kitchenette, as in the case at Banham and Monterey, which is where they must be building this, where we just saw roughly 1/3 of people encamped in the area say no, we are probably beyond the point where the city has the tools to help that person, Mahan opened, according to the radio station. Dude, okay. You are saying that if somebody doesn't take your your offer of temporary free housing, that the city is beyond being able to help them? Has the city done anything with counseling or mental health or checking into how they get their medications or addiction issues or anything? There are so many more issues than just housing. But I digress. Roughly 5,477 people are living in San Jose without shelter. Out of those, about 541 people have resisted help. Okay, so you've got 1,000 beds, but you've got 5,500 people. So there's part of your problem right there. Like, who are you picking? Like, who gets chosen and who doesn't? So the majority of people rejecting help might be dealing with chronic homelessness or behavioral health issues and addiction, Mahan wrote in a Medium article. He noted the city would only consider imposing trespassing laws as a last resort to get someone off the streets. Sure, okay. Trespassing violations are subject to behavioral health court. Once in court, the judge will listen to healthcare professionals and decide whether mandated treatment is warranted, wrote Mahan. Okay, so that's better than just throwing them in jail. Sure. Individuals charged with trespassing will not spend time in jail. Our best case scenario is diversion to mental health or drug court, and the worst case scenario is that person is simply released back onto the street, where we can only hope that this brief interaction with law enforcement might increase their willingness to seek change in their lives by accepting shelter, the mayor continued. I mean, you've got some good parts of this plan, but issuing citations is really where you're going to hit a wall. And I understand it's hard to get people into court without issuing them a citation. So this is a very multifaceted issue. And again, like, I'm sitting here reading the article and kind of changing my mind about how I feel about it. So that's kind of how this issue goes. So he said the city has listened to the homeless community about ongoing issues with shelters and emphasized most of the housing on offers looks like market rate housing or college dorms. He expects hundreds of more of the units will be built this year. And that's one thing, is like, oh, they want housing that looks like regular housing so that they feel more dignified. I don't know. I think that, like, making sure that you have the housing available, first of all, is the first step. And then if you can't get people into it, trying to figure out why and where to go from there. They're working on it, I guess. We'll see if it brings any solutions. This area is one of the worst in the country. I mean, Los Angeles and Seattle are probably worse than San Francisco, but like every major city on the West Coast is bad. And I know that because I live pretty close to a major city on the West Coast, and I live in a large city on the West Coast that also has homeless issues. So people are allowed to bring their partner, pets, and belongings with them to the sites. Individuals will not be kicked out on predetermined timeline. Some might spend a couple of months in transitional housing before moving to something permanent, while others might take years. Okay. Excuse me. Sorry. In no way do I judge people who are suffering from addiction or other forms of mental illness, the mayor wrote, but I do believe we have a collective responsibility to bring them indoors and give them a chance to detox, medicate, reconnect with loved ones who or otherwise accept help they need to achieve greater health and independence and have less impact on the broader community. Okay. Otherwise, we're leaving our most vulnerable to continue deteriorating on our streets with no plan to help them. The only expectation, Mahan said, is coming indoors to stop the continuous fires, trash, and other impacts of long-term encampment that harm our collective safety and quality of life. He added, if someone doesn't agree with these expectations, they are free to find another city that refuses to intervene and help people when their behavior is harming their own health and the safety of the community. Because in San Jose, our community is unwilling to allow indefinite public camping when housing is available. All right. Well, so he is trying to do something. I will give him that. He is making an effort, and I will say that if these citations have the expectation that no jail time will ever be given, then maybe this is a way to get some people off the street. I'm at the point where it's been going on for so long, I would love to see people try anything. I don't want to see people locked up. I don't want to see homeless people thrown in jail. I want compassion for them. because that's what they deserve. They're humans. They don't deserve to be dehumanized, excuse me, because they have to live in a tent on the street because they can't afford medication, or they have a debilitating drug addiction, or they're a victim of domestic abuse. So, and these are things that definitely do lead to homelessness. So something to think about for sure.